Hey guys, Rock here again with another World of Warplanes video. This time we're doing a video guide and review of the Ki-43-1C Hayabusa, which was Japanese for Peregrine Falcon, also known by the Allies under the reporting name Oscar. In short, this is a very, very good plane and you should get one. It's just total fun mode and I love it. I think this plane is actually on the verge of being OP. It has some drawbacks, but its advantages outweigh them. It's hilariously maneuverable, and it actually has decent speed and climbability too, and for only having 2 machine guns, very decent firepower. It can outturn a Zero, which is saying a lot. In fact, it outdoes the Zero in almost all respects except firepower. It flies faster, climbs faster, dives faster, rolls faster, turns faster, and has a higher optimum altitude at 1200 meters, 300 meters better than the Zero, and pretty average for a Tier 4 light fighter instead of being a strictly low altitude plane. It doesn't have the firepower of the Zero, at least on paper, but with the damage model being what it is in 1.5, with the 50 cal being disproportionately strong, it's actually surprisingly good. When you combine that with its ability to just stick to someone's tail like glue, it's not hard to do a lot of damage. Gun time is a nice long 12-second continuous burst with about a 20-second cooldown. For a recommended loadout, it's a premium aircraft that has no modules. For ammo, I do recommend API, just for some extra punch because you only have the 2 guns. For consumables, pneumatic restarter and a fire extinguisher of some kind always. I actually run both the big fire extinguisher because it has a reduced chance of catching fire in the first place, which happens often, and I'm also running a large first aid kit because it also provides extra protection against pilot injury, which really helps, especially in these Japanese aircraft. While this one's technically a Chinese, but it was made by the Japanese. If you lose your pilot gets injured, it really cuts down on maneuverability drastically, and that's pretty much your key way to survival in one of these kind of planes. It does have some huge drawbacks. It gets damaged very, very easily, and it catches fire often. That's my thinking on the consumables there. So, enough talking, let's see some fights. So here we are on National Park, and I spawned down here in the southeast. I actually don't like the way this is developing. Looks like we're going into an engagement where we're outnumbered 4-3, and this is not a good thing to go face in on the enemy. So this does not look good. I consider escaping, but I noticed that there's one guy sneaking out here by himself. It's a Zero, and I can take him, I know. That's one thing about this plane is it's still relatively new, so a lot of people don't know what it is. They see it on the tail and they think, whatever. Or at least they've looked at it and they think it's a Japanese and just like, whatever, I can just outrun it. Not that big a deal. Zeros tend to get overconfident, especially because they think they can outturn you. But clearly, he can't. Taking fire, start some dodging here. Let's see what we got. Lag, P-36. And just look at this, turn inside on them completely, nothing they can do. I'm going to go for the P-36 first. And just line up and shred them. Cut around and do it again. We got friendlies coming over here to help now, which is nice. Another one down. Switched off to the Lag 3 there. Decide he's a greater threat. He's a little more maneuverable than that 110B. Not much he can do to me. As you notice here, I'm chasing him in the vertical and just there's nothing he can do about it. The Ki-43 has surprisingly good climb for a plane to turn as well as it does. I can't really think of any other plane in the game that's comparable in that way. And I'm out of boost here. And my teammates stole that one. Okay. So that engagement actually turned out pretty well there. I was kind of surprised by that. I thought that would be a way for 3 of us to die quickly and then lose the battle. But it turned out for the better. Of course, it didn't help it didn't hurt that I killed 2 of them. Got a teammate firing under my wing there. So historically, the Ki-43 was actually used by the Imperial Japanese Army. The Zeros are more famous for being the iconic Japanese planes, but they were naval planes. In fact, specifically, they were carrier-based planes. This was an Army plane, land-based. They did still follow the same doctrine that lightweight was the way to go. It gave not only just fuel economy and range, but it gave it speed, maneuverability, and performance, which, to their way of thinking, provided their own form of protection. It was actually pretty effective early in the war. However, it had no armor, it had no self-sealing fuel tanks, and as such it had a bad reputation for burning and breaking up after just a couple of hits. However, it was a pretty effective plane. Most of the Imperial Japanese Army's aces got a lot of their kills in a Ki-43 variant of one kind or another. Here we are, another Ki-36. That's their last fighter. Well, at least he's dead. So now we just got to go clean up the ILs here. For the most part, in the Ki-43, you want to avoid ILs. The two 12.7mm or 50 cal machine guns just aren't real effective against the heavily armored ILs. And you're so lightly armored that you tend to get shredded by tail gunners. However, two of these are IL-2s, so they have no tail gunners. So if I play my cards right, I can just park on their tail and get some free damage and XP. See this one down below? Picking my moment. Make the move.
Target hit.
Notice I'm not doing lots of damage, but I'm still getting some chunks off of them.
Rate of fire is reduced.
And that'll up my earnings, which of course in a premium plane is nice. The Ki-43-1C in the game right now is classified as a Chinese premium plane. And the reason for that is because some were captured in Manchuria following the Japanese surrender. And then they were used by the nationalist Chinese Army or Air Force, which actually, after the Chinese Civil War resumed after the end of World War II. In fact, they actually ran, and they had enough airframes and spare parts to run an entire squadron for a while. Here's the last IL. I notice he's facing at me, and that's not good, so I'm climbing, trying to get out of the way of the front of his cannon. Gonna maneuver around on him, and pop, there he goes. So I had a couple of kills I didn't get there, but we sure beat him up pretty bad. And a victory for the team is more important than personal score, of course. As far as tactics, overall you want to use your basic turn and burn type tactics. Just remember that you can use your climb ability for pursuit or escape when you need it. Climb at the start and even get above your optimum. You can either dive and pull people down with you, or you can dive on somebody and have an energy advantage when you get down there. Once you do that, hang back and don't be first in line. Notice how I'm turning around here just to make sure I'm not out in front. I'm just not the plane to be out in front like that. Look for loners and stragglers if you can find them. If you can isolate somebody, the Oscar really excels at 1v1 combat, because once you can get on somebody's tail, they can't shake you. You can basically get on everybody's tail. Just dodge on the initial pass, get around, and kill them. Lather, rinse, repeat. You can do moments of high altitude fighting here and there as a kind of a quick excursion, while as long as you've still got boost built up. But you don't want to make a living up there or try to. You'll get outmaneuvered once you get too far above your optimum altitude. And if you start taking fire like that, move. You've got the maneuverability to dodge and get out of the way. It gets really hard for them to hit you if you're moving around too fast. You can use S-turns and rolling scissors type maneuvers just to make yourself very hard to hit. You do want to kind of avoid making straight circles and loops and things like that, because it makes it very predictable and they can figure out where you're going to be and intercept you. The look at this, that's a tier 5 heavy. I'm chasing up in the vertical and I have no problem keeping up.
The engine is overheated.
Taking fire from the rear there, so I check back.
You are losing control of your aircraft. Increase your airspeed.
And here's where I start to make a mistake. That's a Curtiss Model 81A-1, which is probably the fastest tier 4 there is. And I get a little overconfident in my boost and start chasing him down there. And of course I've got no hope of catching him. And like a dummy, I get drawn into his friends and I'm getting drawn over his AA. So this was not the greatest way to play this one here. I start to realize I've got something below me. I think I'll dive on him. Let's see. There's an A6M. Oh, I got problems behind me now. I move and dodge and try to evade, and nope, it's that 81A again. And then I make the same mistake again, and I bite on him, and then I wind up dying here shortly in a minute. But that was the mistake I made. I got drawn into something where I didn't have an advantage, and I had too many opponents around me and just can't dodge them all. That was not the smartest play there by me. We did wind up winning that one, but it wasn't because of my contributions, unfortunately. So here we are on Fortress this time. This is going to be a tier 4-5 battle, so this should be fun. I found that the Ki-43 is actually quite good, even at tier 5, which is a nice surprise. I really wasn't expecting much out of this plane when I bought it, and I like it more and more each time I fly it. I'm gaining some altitude at the start, trying to hang back a little bit, see what's going on, what develops in front of us. Nothing up here with me, so let's see what trouble I can get into. Another nice thing about this plane is notice that even though it has an optimum altitude of 1,200 meters, it's still in the green all the way down to 0, which is nice. It makes it for a very, very versatile plane, very easy to play. You don't even have to think real hard when you play it, you just kind of go and react and twitch. He's trying to climb up after me. Look at this. I'm still climbing all the way up here on this P-36. Right here. Quite the furball we've got going here now. Gotta try and see if I can take care of this guy so I can go work on somebody else. Notice the guns do have a really nice long reheat time like that. Makes them handy. And then there, that automatic fire extinguisher came in very handy. It's important. And look at this. Here I am up, I'm not real high, it's 1,000 meters high, and that's a VF-109E, a tier 5 German. And I'm climbing, climbing. He's trying to outclimb me, but there's just nothing to do. Doubt he was expecting that. Managed to avoid the collision, come around, I can just cut around on him so fast. He's not even close to turning around. Close. Just boom. Another victory for the Oscar. So that's it. That's my guide for the Ki-43 Oscar. A very, very fun plane, and one I've been surprised at how much I've enjoyed. To be honest, I only bought it because it was on sale a few weeks ago, and I thought I'd give it a go. And I really, really enjoy it. I think it's a great plane, and if anything, it's almost OP right now. And the only other thing I can say about it is if you see one on the other side, you better kill it, because if you don't, it's going to turn around on you and kill you. So that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, guys, and good hunting.